He came one late wet spring and brought the wide world back to my doorstep. I was 35 that year. When I was 20, I would have considered a man of my current age to be teetering on the verge of dotage. These days it seemed neither young nor old to me, but a suspension between the two. I no longer had the excuse of callow youth, and I could not yet claim the eccentricities of age. In many ways, I was no longer sure what I thought of myself. Sometimes it seemed that my life was slowly disappearing behind me, fading like footprints in the rain, until perhaps I had always been the quiet man, living an unremarkable life in a cottage between the forest and the sea. Thus continues the masterful tale of Fitzchivalry Farseer in Book 1 of the Tawny Man Trilogy, Fool's Errand. This is going to be a video about Robb and Hobb and the Tawny Man Trilogy. I'm going to try to convince you to read the Tawny Man Trilogy, but also the Realm of the Elderlings and Robb and Hobb as an author in general. As lifelong readers, we all know that there are authors out there that do everything that we value most as a reader in terms of character, plot, setting, theme, and so on. And we just hope that we discover as many of them in our lifetime as we can. And it's a true joy when we do discover these authors. I totally forgot to mention that this is going to be a spoiler-free review of the Tawny Man Trilogy, because I'm talking primarily about reasons why you should read Robb and Hobb using the Tawny Man Trilogy as evidence. But this will be spoiler-free, so if you haven't read Tawny Man, or even if you've not read anything by Robb and Hobb, I won't spoil anything for you. The Tawny Man Trilogy is the third of 5 interconnected series that make up the Realm of the Elderlings. But it is in many ways a direct sequel to the first series of the Realm of the Elderlings, the Farseer Trilogy, in that those 2 series are told from the perspective of Fitz in a first-person narrative. In the Farseer Trilogy, we meet Fitz as a very young boy and see his coming-of-age tale amongst the royalty and the 6 duchies. And at the end of the series, Fitz is about 20 years old. To say that Fitz goes through a lot of trauma in the Farseer Trilogy is a great understatement, and he retreats from the world after that trilogy to heal from that trauma. The first thing anyone will tell you if they've read the Farseer Trilogy is that you will love Fitz, and that will continue into this trilogy. Hobb is one of the best authors I have read in my lifetime when it comes to character. These are character-first narratives. And in these 2 trilogies, we have Fitz as a first-person narrator. However, what I find most remarkable is how clearly defined the secondary characters are, without Hobb giving them the benefit of point-of-view chapters or point-of-view passages. So the entire work is a character-focused story told from one person, but the depth of character in all of the characters is truly remarkable. A lot of readers characterize Hobb's works as a slow burn, which I guess is an okay description, because she focuses more on character and she doesn't move the plot forward at that breakneck pace that a lot of other authors might employ. But I don't see this as a detractor, because while the plot may be moving slowly, she's giving you rich and nuanced character development while establishing the world in a very meaningful way. I was 200 pages into Fool's Errand, and I realized the plot had gone absolutely nowhere, and I couldn't have been happier. He nodded gravely. I stayed away, hoping that you would finally find a measure of peace and contentment. I did, I assured him. I have. And now I've returned to take it away from you. In the 15 years that form the gap between the Farseer Trilogy and the Tawny Man Trilogy, Fitz has been living in a cabin as a recluse with his animal companion. But events at Buckkeep threaten to bring him back into the realm. But Fitz wants none of this. Despite the 15 years having gone by, he feels that he has deserved this exile, this self-imposed exile, to deal with all of the traumas that he is still dealing with today, 15 years later, of what happened to him in the Farseer Trilogy. As you're reading, you'll wonder if Fitz has earned this exile as a reward for what he did for the realm in the first trilogy. Duty, honor, obligation. I mean, these are all themes that run throughout the entire trilogy. And these are questions you'll ask yourself, whether Fitz himself has earned this right to be by himself with his animal companion, or if he is perhaps obligated to return. Is he running from himself and the events of the previous trilogy? Hobb does it so well here and in other books. She's so great at just
dealing with this inner turmoil of these characters, and it makes you connect with them a lot more. You'll see her characters make big, bad mistakes, but because you understand them, you feel them so much more keenly. It allows her to reach a height with her character development that most authors would just pray to be able to achieve. I've read 2 short passages from Fool's Errand. I won't read any more. I don't want to bore you with that. I don't want you to click away from the video. But it is important to talk about Robin Hobb's prose. And I'm not going to dissect it, but I will just say that her prose is some of the best. And as I get older as a reader, I value prose a lot more than I did when I was younger. And I find that she has some of the best prose in the fantasy genre. I think prose is an important aspect of any author's storytelling. One thing I've always loved about Stephen King is his prose is it's kind of elegant, it's kind of conversational, and it's just easy to connect in all of his stories. For Hobb, her prose is just so rich and descriptive, but I wouldn't say it's overly flowery or of the purple prose category that we talk about, but it's never simplistic, but it's also not antiquated. It's very easy to connect with her. On the scale of the Elfland to Poughkeepsie from Ursula K. Le Guin's great essay, thank you, Philip Chase, for pointing me that direction, she's firmly in the Elfland category as far as her prose is concerned. And I think it works just perfectly for this setting because this is a quasi-medieval setting and it just fits the story so well. I've likened her prose to eating a meal from a gourmet chef, and that's how I feel. I don't feel that prose would ever make or break a story for an author, but hers is just so good. I couldn't have made a Why You Should Read Robin Hobb video without talking about her because her command of the English language is as good as any author I've read in any genre. So when I finish a book, normally I close the book, smile, go ahead and put it on the bookshelf, and then go write a review in my spreadsheet. Maybe add a review on Goodreads or Twitter or something like that. When I finished Fool's Fate, I closed the book and I sat for a minute, 5 minutes, 10, maybe even 20 minutes. I had to sit and process everything I'd been through. The last 300 pages of this book, I fought through tears through much of it as we finally saw Fitz deal with the emotional traumas he faced in the Farseer trilogy. And you feel them so keenly because Hobb is just so damn good at this. I asked myself how many books I'd read in my lifetime, and it was somewhere between 1,500, 2,000 books, I think. And I asked myself if I'd ever been so emotionally moved by a book. And the answer was no. Fool's Fate and the conclusion of the Tawny Man trilogy for me cemented the fact that Robin Hobb is my favorite fantasy author, if not my favorite author, period. She's the first author in my lifetime that I can remember has ever made me wonder if this guy back here has a worthy challenger. So in summation, why should you read Robin Hobb and the Tawny Man trilogy? To feel. Hobb's exploration of internal character conflict is at a level that most authors simply don't have the tools to navigate. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll cheer, you'll get angry. This is the apex of character-driven fantasy at the hands of one of the best the genre has ever seen. So this video was a departure from my normal turn on the camera, bloviate about a book, and then upload type of format. So let me know what you thought. Also, let me know what you like about Robin Hobb. I'm sure that everybody loves Robin Hobb. Or I would love to just hear if I've convinced any of you to pick up any of her books. Of course, start with Assassin's Apprentice, but get your way through the Tawny Man trilogy to experience some of the best character-focused fantasy that I have ever read. If you like this video, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Goodreads. I'd love to interact with you there. I love just all the conversations that I have. Twitter, Goodreads, comment sections, and so forth. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.